Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामीति नामिनि नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Canto 4, Chapter 6, verse 26. ययोस्तत्स्नानविभ्रष्टा नवकुङ्कुमपिञ्जरं वितृशोऽपि पिबन्त्यम्बः पाययन्तो गजागजीः. After the damsels of the heavenly planets bathe in the water, it becomes yellowish and fragrant due to the kunkuma from their bodies. Thus the elephants come to bathe there with their wives, the she-elephants, and they also drink the water although they are not thirsty. Description of Kailasa continues. The airplanes of the heavenly denizens are bedecked with pearls, gold, and many valuable jewels. The heavenly denizens are compared to clouds in the sky, decorated with occasional flashes of electric lightning. How beautiful they are. And they're compared to clouds in the sky with occasional flashes of electric lightning. Full of opulence, airplanes are bedecked with pearls, gold, and many valuable jewels. The airplanes described in this verse are different from the airplanes of which we have experience. In Srimad Bhagavatam and all Vedic literatures, there are many descriptions of Vimana, which mean airplanes. On different planets, there are different kinds of airplanes. On the gross planet Earth, there are airplanes run by machine. But on other planets, the airplanes are run by not by machine but by mantric hymns. They're also used especially for enjoyment by the denizens of the heavenly planets, so that they can go from one planet to another. On other planets, which are called Sitalokas, the denizens can travel from one planet to another without airplanes. The beautiful airplanes from the heavenly planets are compared here to the sky because they flew in the sky, because they fly in the sky. The passengers are compared to the clouds. The beautiful damsels, the wives of the denizens of the heavenly planets, are compared to lightning. So the comparison here is passengers are clouds, wives, beautiful damsels are lightning. In summation, the airplanes with their passengers which came from higher planets to Kailasa were very pleasant to look at. Yeah, so there is a lot of opulence in the higher planets. So which is why there are two paths to perfection. One is to go through a gradual path, which is of Mishra Bhakti. So which will take on from Bhumandala to Swarga, then gradually move up Brahmaloka and then achieve perfection. This is chosen by those devotees who want to enjoy elsewhere in the material world, enjoy opulences. Some are curious to see all these kinds of variegatedness in the material world. So they want to see all that, experience all that, and then also they want to go back to Godhead, but not in any hurry. Um, so they'll go through the gradual process. Then there is a direct process, which is to just go directly from here out of the material world. Of course, the direct process is faster, mm, but it may not be, not everybody might want to take that path. Mm, um, yeah, because it might be yeah, more demanding in terms of commitment, etc. But we have to see the upside. Upside is direct association of Krishna without getting sidelined or sidetracked, without getting stuck with something else of the material, because we all have free will. So we don't know when what is going to happen. We go to some heavenly planet, we get stuck with some opulence, with some apsaras, etc. Nobody knows, right? So dangerous to take the gradual route. But the direct route is maybe tough, may not be so easy as the gradual route, but guaranteed no chance of fall down, no chance of diversion, distraction. No, and which is actually what Krishna likes. That's the most important thing. Krishna is not very happy with the devotees doing Mishra Bhakti. Krishna is actually Sri Krishna Akarshini. Pure devotional service attracts Krishna. It's our only, if our only motivation is to please Krishna, then we end up doing pure devotional service, Tivra Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. If that's not our priority, then we can go through the gradual path. We will reach there, hopefully, if we don't fall down anywhere. We'll reach there over a period of time. So of those devotees who also want to enjoy material opulence in higher planets, travel in airplanes which are bedecked with pearls, gold, many valuable jewels, etc., achieve very beautiful bodies, and so on and so forth, can take the gradual, the indirect route. And it's our choice. Krishna is not enforcing anything on us. हित्वा यक्षेश्वर पुरीं वनं सौगन्धिकं च तत् द्रुमैः कामदुघैर्हृद्यं चित्रमाल्यः फलच्छदैः. In fact, actually, if we see all these descriptions of heavenly planets, really those who are materially attracted by material opulence, material things, want to possess these things and are not able to do or up to the extent they want, etc. I mean, this is unparalleled opulence, unparalleled material opportunities for sense enjoyment. Which is why Shastra is, when it is describing all this, also there is description about um, disadvantages of us getting stuck there, etc., etc. But still, yeah, these things are there, are real. While traveling, the demigods passed over the forest known as Saugandhika, which is full of varieties of flowers, fruits, and desired trees. Just imagine. Saugandhika itself means full of fragrance. While passing over the forest, they also saw the regions of Yaksheshwara, Kuvera. Yaksheshwara is also known as Kuvera and is the treasurer of the demigods. In the descriptions of him in Vedic literature, it is stated that this is fabulously rich. It appears from these verses that Kailasa is situated near the residential quarters of Kuvera. It's also stated here that the forest was full of desire trees. From Samhita, we learn about the desire tree, which is found in the spiritual world, especially in Krishna Loka, the abode of Lord Krishna. We learn here that such desire trees are also found in Kailasa, the residence of Lord Shiva, by the grace of Krishna. It thus appears that Kailasa has a special significance. It is almost like the residence of Lord Krishna. Raktakantha Khaganika Swaramandita Shatpadam Kalaham Sakula Preshtam Karadhanda Jalashayam. In that celestial forest, there were many birds whose necks were colored reddish and whose sweet sounds mixed with the humming of the bees. The lakes were abundantly decorated with crying swans as well as strong stemmed lotus flowers. And the beauty of the forest was intensified by the presence of various lakes. It is described herein that the lakes were decorated with lotus flowers and with swans who played and sang with the birds and the humming bees. Very nice. Natural beauty, natural opulence. Considering all these attributes, one can imagine how beautiful this spot was and how much the demigods passing through enjoyed the atmosphere. We can understand this. We might just go to some waterfall or some greenery somewhere, or uh, and we might be so, people want to have farmhouses, people go on a holiday to be in the midst of nature, etc., etc. So obviously, we can understand that these things can attract a human being. But what we are hearing, the description here is beyond our experience here. So beautiful. Mm. There are many paths and beautiful spots created by man on this planet Earth, but none of them can surpass those of Kailasa, as they describe in these verses. Yeah, so there are beautiful spots here, but no comparison. Yeah, so by hearing this description, if any of the devotees here want to go to Swarga, then yeah, option is there. Vanakunjara Sangrishta Harichandana Vayuna Adipunyajana Strinam Muhur Unmathayan Manaha. All these atmospheric influences unsettle the forest elephants who flocked together in the sandwood forest. And the blowing wind agitated the minds of the damsels there for further sexual enjoyment. That is all that happens eventually. This is what it is. Whenever there's a nice atmosphere in the material world, immediately there is an awakening of sexual appetite in the minds of materialistic persons. Not in everybody's minds, the minds of materialistic persons. This tendency is present everywhere within this material world, not only on this earth, but in higher planetary systems as well. And in fact, there are more opportunities, more conducive environment for sexual enjoyment in the higher planetary systems. In complete contrast with the influence of this atmosphere on the minds of the living entities within the material world is the description of the spiritual world. So Prabhupada now is wanting us to understand what is the opulence of the spiritual world. The women there are hundreds and thousands of times more beautiful than the woman here in this material planet. And the spiritual atmosphere is also many times better. Yet, despite the pleasant atmosphere, the minds of the denizens do not become agitated because in the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha planets, the spiritualistic minds of the inhabitants are so much absorbed in spiritual vibration of chanting the glories of the Lord that such enjoyment could not be surpassed by any other enjoyment, even sex, which is the culmination of all pleasure in the material world. Actually, before Prabhupada, none of the previous acharyas would talk about such things in pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just because it was like a taboo to talk about these things, and these things were not really, I mean, people were more cultured than today's world. But Prabhupada is writing for all of us in this material world, this time and age, so he has to make explicitly talk about these things. Many times, very traditional people, they can't deal with these purports. They feel this is very, mm, you know, they can't digest these kind of statements. But this is the truth, what to do. This is the real world out there. So here Prabhupada is saying that unless we become so much absorbed in spiritual vibration of chanting the glories of the Lord, that such enjoyment could not be surpassed by any other enjoyment. So this enjoyment, this happiness has to be experienced. When we experience the happiness in the vibration of chanting the glories, the Lord, then other lower forms of enjoyment become, uh, we lose taste. But this takes time. This takes time. It takes time, and also it also depends on how much intensely we are engaged in devotion, how much we are absorbed in spiritual activities. In other words, in the Vaikuntha world, in spite of its better atmosphere and facilities, there is no impetus for sex life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate, the inhabitants of Vaikuntha Loka are so spiritually enlightened that in the presence of such spirituality, sex life is insignificant. Our acharyas also say, Yamuna Acharya says, many of our acharyas tested this propensity. But that is because they were all completely absorbed in spiritual vibration, in spiritual life. So if you don't, then we are stuck in something or the other material. Either it's sexual enjoyment or it's possession of wealth or clothes or this or that or something of this material world. Hmm. So my eyes, the creation of this material world is so perfect that the intention is to actually make us stuck. Uh, make us get stuck here. That is the intention, right, of this material world. And by doing so, slowly, gradually, helping us make progress. So when we actually decide that, okay, now I've had enough of this material world, the challenges increase. Mm. So there will be tests again and again, pull us down. It can become very difficult. So yesterday, actually, I was hearing uh, in the temple we had class yesterday by Maharaj, by His Holiness Bhakti Dhir Damoda Swami Maharaj. He was talking about tolerance. It was a very nice class, actually. I'll share the link. I mean, very short class, but very, very powerful. Um, I'm just sharing this in our group. So Maharaj actually gave one comparison. He gave a comparison of a pot, a very, very deep insight, deep insight. He gave how a pot eventually, which is just a lump of clay, becomes so attractive, or but that conversion of from that raw earth to the pot is a lot of you know austerity. If you were to take clay as us from the time, so we are raw and useless at this point of time, to become attractive to Krishna, which is the pot. Now it takes so much of effort. So you're saying, initially they're just pounding and pounding and pounding the clay, the potter. So the guru, we can compare. I mean, this comparison I am giving, he didn't give. Just for my understanding, I took it like that. Like guru is like the potter. He's hammering, he's pounding the clay again and again and again. And Krishna, acharyas, all of them, pounding, correcting, pounding. Then after all that pounding, then there is heating, then put into fire. So further difficulty. But only if we pass through all this. How do we pass through all this? We pass through all this only through tolerance. There's no tolerance to go through this repeated pounding, repeated heating in the fire. Then that beautiful pot cannot come out, and the pot cannot sustain for long. If not put through the process properly, it'll leak, it'll break. So it's very, very important that actually we go through the grind. Actually, the uh, spiritual life, uh, currently we are going through the grind of the material life. The grind of the material life is not going to give us anything really, just more bondage, more suffering, more struggle. But if we agree to take up the grind of spiritual life, which initially will be a little bit of grind, it's not like completely, it's not like chant and be happy immediately, right? So all the anarthas have to go, then we might have some karma phala, we have to deal with all that in the midst of doing our sadhana, etc. So it might be a little bit of a grind for many of us. But going through the grind, going through the heating process, becoming strong, becoming fixed, eventually we become that beautiful pot. When everybody is very happy and appreciates. And of course, Krishna becomes happy when we become that beautiful pot. Uh, so it's very, very important. Otherwise, yeah, this material world can very easily pull us down. Tough. No, I mean, understandably tough for conditioned souls like us. But we have to try. We have to keep trying. And really, I request everybody to remember this example of this potter making this pot from, raw earth. This is our devotional life. Just simply, if you can remember this, and every time we are going through some hammering, we should just remember, I'm just becoming more strong. I'm becoming more fixed. I'm becoming more fit to be offered to Krishna. So, and this is just Krishna's mercy on me. And then patiently, utsaha nishchaya dhairya, with enthusiasm, with determination, with patience, we have to make progress. Actually, sometimes I feel before I came into Krishna consciousness, I didn't have, I was not privy to, or I was not exposed to the so much of suffering of the material world for the simple reason that we never really bothered about other people's suffering, and we were so self-centered that we were just bothered about our own self and petty small things. Okay, some go and, okay, get some money, then you're happy, get something. So all meaningless, ways of becoming so-called happy, and no time for anything meaningful. So we never used to see the suffering in this material world. And now, having come into Krishna consciousness, we really see, so much of suffering, so much of suffering. Mm. So it's important that we see this and understand this place is not really conducive for us. Why are we still trying to settle down here? Instead, if we put the same effort, same commitment in spiritual life, we will go back to Krishna. Very important to think about these things. So the pot example.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Sorry
Mataji.
to interrupt.
No problem.
It's just a coincidence that I also read the same paragraph what Prabhupada has written about this. Can I read it out, Prabhu?
Yeah, please.
There are 84 lakhs different species of life with different wishes and different actions. How the material force is working cannot be explained just on the basis of chemical reaction. A suitable example in this connection is that of a potter and a potter's wheel. The potter's wheel rotates and several varieties of earthen pots come out. There are many causes for the earthen pots, but the original cause is the potter who sets a force on the wheel. That force comes out by his superintendency. The same idea is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Behind all material actions and reactions, there is Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. Krishna says that everything depends on his energy, and yet he is not everywhere. The pot is produced under certain conditions of the actions and reactions of material energy, but the potter is not in the pot. In the similar way, the material creation is set up by the Lord, but he remains aloof, as stated in the Vedas. He simply glanced over it and agitated the matter immediately began. I mean, it's just a coincidence that I was reading this yesterday. I thought it was relevant. Sorry, Prabhu, if it is.
No problem. So yeah, Prabhupada actually is he takes up some of these very common examples, and different scenarios, different situations brings out different significances, right? Like, yeah, in this paragraph that Mataji was reading out, it was how the potter is the cause of the pot and everything is dependent on Krishna. And in the other example, in the same example, but Maharaj was connecting that to how the clay is shaped, and that it has to go through toughening process. It's difficult, but it's tough to go through the grind. But that grind is actually eventually will actually give us that happiness that we are all seeking for. So, yeah, important to go through without complaint. Actually, Maharaj was saying, yeah, Haridas Thakur was getting beaten in 22 marketplaces, but he didn't complain. This is the big difference between these great devotees and us. We keep complaining. Prahlad Maharaj didn't complain. Sudama didn't complain. All great devotees in Bhagavatam, they didn't complain. Or in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gaura Leela. So we should also learn from some of these things that, first is we have to, the big point actually for me was just tolerate yourself. Actually, yeah, one more point Maharaj made, which is like amazing, this very beautiful class, very short yet very beautiful class. So he said that others tolerate us. That's a very, very insightful statement. He said others are tolerating us. Can we see that? Can we see that other people are tolerating us? All our actions, they are tolerating. Then why is it that we are not able to tolerate them? Before that, he said, you should tolerate yourself. You should tolerate yourself, because you're the Atma and you have to tolerate your nonsense mind and whatever is coming from with that, from past life. So you have to tolerate yourself. Others are tolerating you. Why can't you tolerate others? No, just very, very deep statements. Very deep statements. It just these three, four things just got stuck in my head yesterday. He said tolerate. Then he said you also have to tolerate Krishna. Because he's going to put us through all this. But tolerate, be patient, know that he's there with us, he's helping us out. And yeah, go through the kind, willing, knowingly. The firm faith that yes, Krishna is pounding me to make me suitable to get to his world, to mold me. Krishna is, you know, giving all these in my material life. Actually, sometimes, uh, my own life, I keep thinking about this because when there's continuously one somebody is suffering, it becomes very, very difficult. No justification. Initially, there'll be some enthusiasm, some willingness to, deal with it, fight back, be determined, etc. But when it's going on and on and on and on and on, and then, it becomes really challenging, right? But yeah, so every now and then we have to hear classes like this, from Maharaj gave yesterday, and then it'll give us some renewed strength. Okay, yes, okay, struggle is on, fight is on. It's just for my purification. I'm still getting molded, which means that I'm really out of shape. Mm, so really out of shape, really unqualified to go back to the spiritual world. So Krishna is molding me. So that consciousness, we will be in that consciousness, and yeah, slowly we will get there. We will absolutely get there. There's no doubt about it. But just that we have to be. And then yeah, when we are going through those kind of difficult times in our life, it's always nice to have supporting devotees who can help us. I won't say understand us, because if you say understand, then we might get some shortcut uh, solutions or attempts to solutions which may or may not work at all. Oh, support us. Yeah, okay. Going through the grind, it's okay. You're getting there. You know, this is where you're going. So it's a little bit of struggle. We are here with you. And then helping, just being there, helping devotees. That's what association is supposed to be. Right? Yeah. So maybe it's heavy for many, many of us, like pure devotional service is not going to come by easily. But that's what attracts Krishna. This one thing we have to remember, this is the only thing which attracts Krishna. Krishna is not attracted by this lukewarm Mishra Bhakti. I mean, he's not attracted. Bottom line, that's it. He just doesn't bother. I mean, he says, okay, you want to do Mishra Bhakti, it's up to you. Do whatever you want. I'm not I'm not interfering with your desire. But when we actually do Shuddha Bhakti is when Krishna takes personal interest to help us out. Dadami buddhi yogam tam ena mam upayanti te. Might be tough, but really worth it. Now, we've gone through so many struggles in our material life to achieve some chindi chotu-motu material accomplishments. But if we have to go through a little bit struggle to achieve Krishna, is there anything at all in comparison? So yeah, then go through the struggle, because there's nothing more valuable than that to achieve. Yeah, I don't want to don't want to take up another verse, because this is very nice. How we are stuck in this material world, and the Uber picture, looking up and seeing Krishna and Radha there in the spiritual world, and hoping that this life we can end in this miserable material world and be there with them in the spiritual world, free from all this low class sensual enjoyment, and in ecstatic spiritual, being in the middle of spiritual ecstasy. That's what we should look up. To look up, literally up, 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 up. Mm. Okay, I'll stop here. Anybody wants to make any further comments on this topic, please feel free. Anything? Is it inspiring? Is it uh, discouraging? At least for me, when I hear such things, it encourages me to try, further try harder, because it just shows that it's not enough. It's not enough. So we can try harder. And anyway, see, the other thing we have to always remember is it's blissful. Krishna conscious. So even the grind is actually blissful if we actually do it the right way. We actually remain happy. We can remain happy also. It's not that it's not like a grind which is painful. On one side, yeah, we are going through some pain, but literally the activities themselves are so blissful. The whole of now, preparing towards Janmashtami, we're all very busy in all our both Vijayanagar and Holy Mao centers, and I requested devotees next 4 weekends, please give it wholeheartedly for Krishna, at least 1.5 days. And devotees are all enthusiastically working. We've been doing Nagar Sankirtan, we've been going to apartments, inviting people, different devotees have taken up different services, and everybody's mind, Krishna is on everybody's mind. So many activities on everybody's mind. Yeah, and their material life is also going on in parallel. A little bit heavy lifting for next 4 weeks, but that's the bliss of Krishna consciousness, right? Continuously, all the time thinking about Krishna, thinking about how we can do, how can we can make it better. And if we can live a life, rest of our life like this, spiritually busy, engaged, trying to preach, trying to promote Krishna consciousness, trying to become an instrument in the mission of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then absolutely that will also be extra benefit, extra mercy is going to flow through all that. So that absorption is required. Initially, it is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam means first, initially, it is said Nityam means at least, for very new people, at least once a week, come to satsang at least once a week. Uh, then we say, okay, at least 1 or 2 times in a week, get in touch with devotees, do some devotional activity. Then slowly we say, chant every day, read every day. Then we'll say, mm, read more than once a day, chant more than once a day. And eventually, when we come out of all these material responsibilities, we should be literally doing it all the time. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Anybody? No comments? Okay. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय समवेत गौरव भक्त वृंद की जय हरे कृष्ण